Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make an adjustable clasp bracelet, and we're going to use a nice little focal from Guido Jewelry, and that is a beautiful setting that uses Swarovski crystals. So I have brought out a few of the links here that we're going to be sort of talking about, but I'm going to be using this one down here, and this has two little links on the side, and this is going to fit a 47 stone size or 47 SS Swarovski Rivoli. So really beautiful, so that's going to set right in there, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But just here are some of the other options you have. You can have some different shapes, some larger circles. We also have some embellished links as well, some that are going to fit those beautiful cushion stones. And we actually also have a couple over here that are going to use glue. So this is if you wanted a non-prong setting, you can actually just do a nice little glue in. So each of the settings does tell you exactly which stone size works for it, so be sure to check those descriptions. All right, so for our project today here, I have 1 foot of silver chain, and then I also wanted to bring out these cute little skulls here today. So we're going to be working with these. We're going to be adding these as the little embellishments to the ends of our chain. So this is just some charm chain, and I have about 2 inches there. Like I said, I'm going to be working with that 47 stone size. I have my adjustable slider clasp, which has that nice little silicone in the center, which is going to help grip all that chain. My connector, and then the last piece here is we're going to be doing some 4mm 21 gauge jump rings as our little closures on the ends here. So we're going to be using those as well. So for tools, I have a little scrap of wire, and you're going to see how we're going to use that. I also have some popsicle sticks. Now, if you have the big ones or the little ones, this works just the same, but I just wanted to bring both out to show you. And then I have a couple pairs of chain nose pliers, a bent chain nose plier, and a pair of flush cutters. So if you have everything ready to go, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to take my 1 foot of chain here, and I'm actually going to kind of fold it in half, and I'm going to cut the center of it. And I'm just going to find that center link and just give it a nice little trim. All right, so now I'm going to set these 2 pieces aside, and the next thing I want to get ready is I want to get ready my little stone setting here. So I'm going to be taking that popsicle stick, and all I need to do is just set my stone inside and allow it to be sort of flush with the setting there. And now I'm just going to kind of come over top and grip it with my finger. Take that popsicle stick, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a little rolling motion over that prong in order to get it to fall flat there. So just really simply, just going to kind of roll it over, and you see how easily that bends. So now I'm going to go all the way across the stone, and I'm going to do that same thing again. And just sort of press that down. And the popsicle stick is great to use because it doesn't hurt that stone at all. So I'm just going to go around and do the other setting, or the other prong of the setting, and the final one. So now we have that beautiful stone set right in there, and he's not going anywhere. It shouldn't be loose at all. You can kind of jiggle it around, and he shouldn't move. All right, so I have that all set to go. I can set my popsicle stick aside. So now what I want to do is I want to take my 2 lengths of chain here, and I'm going to be opening and closing 2 of those jump rings to attach this together. So I have a bent chain nose plier and a chain nose plier. You can also use 2 chain nose if you like. Opening that jump ring, slipping it onto my chain, slipping on my little focal there, and closing that up, making sure I have a nice good closure. And I'm just going to move to the other side and repeat that. There we go. Close that right up. All right, so now we have what we'll lay on top of our bracelet, just like so. So now we're going to focus on the clasp. All right, so you have 2 options when you do this. You can bring both together and fit your clasp on top like that, or you have the option to crisscross your chains, and then it will sit like that. I'm going to do the crisscross method for this one, but both will work. All right, so here's where we're going to use our little scrap of wire here. This is going to kind of work like a little needle for us. So what we're going to do, and I actually have a little too much there, I'm just going to trim mine off a bit. There we go. So I'm going to thread it through the last little link in my chain there. And I'm just going to kind of fold it together to get a nice little sort of needle on the other end. And now I'm just going to slip it through the hole of my adjustable slider clasp. Now this one should go on pretty easily, and once you have one through there, you'll see that it's not super stiff. All right, so now I can just remove that. So now what we want to do is do that crisscross motion. So I'm going to use my same scrap of wire and kind of link that on. And I'm going to go through the other side, going in the opposite direction. So here's my tail here. I'm going to go through it going this way. Now make sure that you're not catching any links on the inside, because you'll see that it won't go through. All right, and now we're just going to kind of pull that through. All right. And now you can see that we have our bracelet. So one side is coming out one end, and the other, of course, the other end. All right, so now we have to add something to the ends of this chain so that it doesn't pull through. But before we do that, what you're going to want to do is just kind of work the chain to a length. And like we said, we started out with a foot of chain, so you have 6 inches on either side of that focal there. And what I want to do is I want to make it large enough to slip over the biggest part of my hand here. I think I need a little bit more. And I'm just going to pull a little bit and pull a little bit more on the other side, trying to keep those ends even. There we go. All right, so that slips over my wrist at that point, okay? And it just depends on how big your hand is. It's kind of like fitting a bangle, so you can just measure with a tape across the knuckles there to see how big it needs to be. All right, so now what we're going to do is I've got my size there. And I have my 2 ends coming out here. All right, let me set that up for you. There you go. All right, so now you can kind of see. So what I want to do is I want to add some of those little skulls to the end there. So I'm actually going to come in and trim my chain pretty close to the top there. And I just want to make sure that both ends are even there. Looks like I have one that might be a little bit longer. Let me just adjust. This is the hardest part about this, is just getting that sizing done right. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to come in and I'm going to trim off here. And I'm going to trim off here. All right, now before those slip through, I don't need to worry about my sizing anymore, so I'm just going to pull those out. There we go. All right, let me get my chain set aside. There we go. All right, now you can add as many little dangles as you want. If you just want to add 1 or 2, you can do that just on the ends there. I'm going to actually kind of add a little bit here. So I'm going to go and do about 3 jump rings worth of the chain. So I'm going to cut that 4th jump ring, just like so. And you see that when you cut one of those jump rings, you actually leave off a couple of the little dangles. But we can actually put them back on, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is just take another jump ring, open it up. I'm going to slip on 1 skull, and then I'm going to slip on the jump ring, and then I'm going to slip on the other little skull there. So now they're back on, and now we can just add this back to the end of our chain there and close that up. So now you can see that we have our little skull dangles on the bottom there. So now I'm just going to repeat that on the other side here. And again, I'm just going to count 3 jump rings, and I'm going to clip the 4th one, which is right here. Oops, with my flush cutters, of course. All right, and you can again see that I lost 2 there, but here's how we're going to save them. Again, just gently opening that jump ring, slip on 1. And the reason I am doing this is so that they each fall on either side there. There we go. Slipping on that jump ring, and then slipping on my little skull. There we go. Adding it to the end of the chain, and then closing that up. There we go. So now when you wear it on your wrist, you'll have these little skull dangles hanging from the bottom there. And you can just sort of adjust as you need to. But if you end up pulling it all the way, it'll create a nice little stopper there on the bottom. Now you'll have some extra little charm chain left over. You can also add some little guys there to the end. So let's do a little bit more embellishment here. So I'm just going to cut off one more of those jump rings here just to have a little fun, because why not? All right, so now I have two little extra skulls there. And just rotating my jump ring, there we go. Opening it up. And I'm just going to add one little jump ring with a skull to the other one up here at the front. Close that up. So we have just a little extra happening in the front. You don't have to do this. This is just, I realized that I had 2 inches of that chain, so I might as well use a little bit more of it. You can also use these connectors to make earrings, which could be really fun. So you can actually make a beautiful set if you wanted to. All right, so there we go. Just some fun little skulls there up at the top, up next to my Rivoli, and my little charm chain hanging from the bottom. But that's how easy it is to use these connectors. And again, these are from Gita Jewelry for Swarovski crystal, and they are just so wonderful. So all you need to do is just pick your favorite stone, pick some charms, just some chain down here, and make it work. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com.